Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. Masani,
you-
please
are you-
just
are
give
you
us
for
the
real?
case. What?
Are you doing it? I can't tell.
Yeah, dude, I was just like, yo, I just need you to
This
get
is
that.
Unfiltered.
Just say what happened so we could just,
All right.
you know
okay.
what, like,
All right,
just say
okay.
it.
All right, real quick.
Say it.
Today's episode is a reactionary piece to the Breonna Taylor killing, but we did previously cover this in a past episode back towards July. We'll link it. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. But I'm going to hit you guys with some of the facts real quick, and we can have a discussion. First off, Breonna Taylor, we all know the overall consensus story. She was at home with her boyfriend. Police came in, broke the door off the hinges. Her boyfriend fired a warning shot on his
Breonna Taylor, black woman.
black woman. The story from both sides differs, obviously, as you would expect, from the police side versus her boyfriend's side. The story that is predominantly going around is that he fired first. His case says that he fired a warning shot. Police say he fired at them. And then the police officers that were there then fired out a total of 32 rounds, of which they claim that only one struck Breonna fatally and not all five, like however many, five, whatever.
8.
So they
Eight.
said we only
Yeah.
killed her with one, not 8.
Mhm.
Wow.
And in Kentucky, the only officer that was charged with wanton endangerment, which is a Class D felony in Kentucky, so the lowest level of felony. He was given a $15,000 bond, and jail terms for that are 1 to 5 years.
So
I
we
guess
thought,
the general question real quick is, how do y'all
yeah.
feel?
We thought for the longest time, everyone's like, say her name. Everyone's like, justice for Breonna Taylor. It's like 190 how many days until they had the actual court, that they actually went to court and they actually decided on something. And then this is what the court throws at us. This is what our country does. After everything, after what everyone said, they let him off.
And it's been nothing but performative actions up until this. You know, they made a law named after her. They put her on the cover of Time magazine or Oprah's magazine, one of the other. And then people have been marching for her nonstop since the day she was shot, like literally every single day since she was killed. And this is what we get. And I just, like, as an African American person living in America right now, I'm very angry. And I'm frustrated because I feel like she deserved better. And I don't have anything to back this up except like my experiences, but I feel like this has to do with the fact that she's a woman. George Floyd, you know, even though it took a really long time, he is like on the path to getting his justice. You know, Elijah McClain, you know, even Trayvon Martin, like his family still like saw their day in court, but Breonna Taylor's family is not getting that same courtesy. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's a woman. Like, black women are literally just, like, nobody cares about them. And so, like, that's, it's a really, I'm going to be upfront, it's a shitty feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's really shitty.
Yeah. I do want to let both kind of perspectives speak. Obviously, we're all on one side of it. This is wrong. Tamor, I know we were talking about this earlier. You want to speak on Charles and Shaq real quick?
Yeah, they were. So Charles Barkley was trending on Twitter. I think it was yesterday, because they started talking about it on their show, NBA on TNT, and Shaq and Charles had the same. Well, Chuck said that this isn't in the same conversation as George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery because of her boyfriend shooting shots at the cops as well, which I completely disagree with, and they caught a lot of heat on Twitter by a lot of
As they should
celebrities,
have.
as
Like,
they
how
should
dare
have.
you? Oh, my God.
People like that need to be aware of, like, their platform being Charles Barkley,
Yeah.
being who you are. That's something they should be.
For sure. For sure. And I think we just highlighted one side of it. I think the argument given by Chuck and Shaq highlights the other side of it, right? So I guess morally, and just from a human perspective, what was done was wrong. The argument, and the only argument that's being made, is that her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, correct?
Mhm.
I hope I'm not getting Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
It's the fact that Kenneth Walker shot first.
Not just that he shot first, but he had a record. Because they have literally, that's like all they're saying is that, oh, they were looking for somebody who was like in connection with the actual person that they were trying to arrest, like somebody who was associated with them. So like the argument that they're making is that they were originally looking for Kenneth Walker in the first place. And Breonna Taylor was just caught in the crossfires, which is, it's nonsense. It is complete and utter nonsense.
How do you... the original story, right, what they said before was that they went into the wrong apartment. How do you go into the wrong apartment and
After catching the guy that morning.
then kill someone, and then blame the boyfriend that was trying to defend himself.
And like
Yeah.
the woman who
How
loved her.
that's just
You know,
like I guarantee you if that was flipped, if it was a black guy coming into a white person's apartment, if that were to happen, there would be no confusion.
It did happen.
And it probably did.
Amber,
and there was probably,
Amber Geiger, whatever her name was, she walked into the wrong apartment
And-
and
Oh,
she
so the
shot
accountant?
and killed a man.
and there was probably
his
no
name
confusion
is,
there.
I hate that his name is escaping me, but
he's an
She
African-
thought he was in
he's
her
an African-American-
apartment?
Okay, so
yeah,
he worked
then
there.
she realized
she
he was-
walked
Hold on,
into
yeah,
his
yeah.
apartment.
Bro, I don't even.
So that was he was an accountant. He worked at PwC.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. So he was at home. I think she was on a different floor, so she lived on like the second floor and he lived on the third. I might be getting the facts wrong. Regardless,
Botham
they're
John,
lifting.
that was his name.
Go for
Regardless, the
Both-
opposite happened.
Botham John.
Yeah.
It was the opposite.
The opposite
She,
happened.
a white person, shot and killed a man. And she claimed it was self-defense, and she got off, and she has not faced any responsibility or any consequences for what she did.
it. Sure.
I just don't, bro. The whole like, I don't get how you could go on a whole, especially after George Floyd, right? Go on this whole social justice tirade on social media, on the news, in modern media and sports, and have everyone talk about it and pretty much get called out if you're not on the side of Black Lives Matter, not on the
Sure.
side of what's right in social justice, right? And then, like, politicians saying that we have to change this and that, and then you take this Breonna Taylor case to court, and then this happens. Then it's like, we just did all this. We did
For that.
all these movements, all these marches, even the protests that you saw. Everything was all for nothing changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
for what?
Just
Like-
performative activism, performative junk that's not going to mean anything. It's not going to matter. Okay, she's not going to get justice, and the next time a black woman is killed, which is inevitable, the same thing is going to happen. No consequences, no action, and it's just wow.
And the
So-
sad part is about that is that this was the part that, like, if anyone was gonna get justice for like the
It's
facts in
should've
the case, it would have been her.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably so many cases that like it didn't make the modern spotlight in media, right? And not many people know about. How are they gonna get justice if Breonna Taylor can't get the justice? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just
So what
Doesn't
I
even
want
make
to bring
sense to
up,
me,
right? We've done, in case you missed them, we've done a ton of BLM episodes. We had a whole series. So what I want to discuss, though, is on our last episode, we said what we needed to do as a whole, right? Not just our generation, but as a whole in America, what we needed to do for just African Americans to have a case, for them to have those equal rights, was that we needed people bigger than us, right? Bigger than 8 kids recording out of a mosque to make a difference. And we had that, right? So the NBA went into a bubble, and the whole goal of the bubble was to stand up for racial injustice.
what did they put on the court?
Yeah, they put Black Lives Matter on the court, right? And then we've seen it now with NFL season. Players have names on the back of their helmets, or saying stuff like that. We've seen it
Did
with
baseball?
celebrities.
Baseball did it too, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much everyone has done it.
And that day where like the Bucks didn't play and stuff.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
a bunch of teams didn't play. Even
I'm coming to it,
MLB.
man. I'm coming to it.
Yeah, I know.
You beat
Yeah,
me to
yeah.
it.
No, go ahead. Sorry, my bad. I was
You beat me
jumping
to
the
it,
gun.
you
Jumping
beat
the
me
gun.
to it. You are. But yeah, no. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was saying, like, it wasn't just basketball that didn't play.
Yeah.
Every sport on that
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
didn't
Shut
play.
down.
I
You
do
know what I
remember
mean?
that.
So it was unilateral. It wasn't like it's only basketball that support like in like modern sports. Think of the viewership and think of the fan bases and the people that love these players and would die for these players and these teams, and they're pretty much saying like, hey, like what happened was wrong, and then you're gonna go to court and
Yeah. And
oh
then-
my God, Masai, finish your thought. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is, right, so we had spoken at length about the fact that people bigger than us need to do something. And that's what happened, right? People bigger than us did something. The guy who I always think of when we've been talking about Breonna Taylor in terms of athletes only is Donovan Mitchell, right? So Donovan Mitchell went into the bubble. We all want to talk about how great his performances were in the first round. The back of his jersey said, say her name. He was playing it for Breonna. Each post-game interview he did, at some point, maybe not every, but he had mentioned Breonna Taylor, why he did it, the importance to him. And being a kid from Louisville, like, it hit home for him. And he was tweeting about it. People were supporting him. There was so much going on. And even with the guys, because Donovan Mitchell, with the following he has, I promise you, I saw so much crap that he was getting about the fact that people need to keep sports and, like, their political
Shut up
thoughts.
and dribble.
Stuff.
Shut up and
Yup,
dribble.
yup. Shout out Laura Ingraham. So there's a lie, like, even as big as those people are, and we still can't get the message across.
How's that woman still employed? Like, I don't understand.
She's
Fox
a
News,
clown.
man.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
clown. She's a
Fox
clown.
News.
And I think this conversation with Breonna Taylor could lead to so many conversations, right? Like, we talked about the
Yeah.
media. We could talk about Second Amendment rights. I feel like I'm at a loss for words on what you can do now, right? Because that was the game plan was, people bigger than us can make a change. People bigger than us have spoken. They boycotted games.
It wasn't even just
they
Donovan.
did what they did,
Like,
no,
LeBron did too,
LeBron.
and LeBron is like
it was league wide.
right now. You
Every
could even
team.
say LeBron's not even just the face of basketball; he's the face of sports in this generation. He's one of the faces of
for
sports.
sure.
You know, like.
And for someone,
like-
and he's a global icon. For
He's a
something
global
like
icon.
for something like that to happen, and for us to still be having this conversation, kind of dumbfounded.
First of all, she shouldn't even need all that for her to get justice, right?
Sure.
In a case, right? But with all that, and you're still not getting justice, and like, it just makes you think like Danny Green's jersey on the back says how many more. Like we always laugh about it, like how many more threes you're gonna miss. But like seriously, dude, like if you can't, like, how much more do you need?
Exactly.
How much? What will it take? Will voting, like, who can you vote that you could trust that, like, politicians will say one thing and then
Yep.
turn around and say something else, dude. I don't
just-
know.
It reminds me of like when my family went through this. So like when my uncle was shot and killed, my family tried to like take the city to court. He was killed by police, and he ended up not getting any justice. And this was like, a random black man on the south side of Chicago. No press, no publicity. This was 1998, so there was no like, Twitter, Facebook, and all of that stuff. And then, Breonna Taylor happens in 2020, and she gets the exact same result as my uncle and my family. And it's just like, that should not be the case. Like, they shouldn't be identical.
Yeah.
If anything, Breonna Taylor had a stronger case than my family did, and it still ended up exactly like my family. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's surreal.
I think there's so much, like even on the topic of like police justice reform, right? Like just the police reform that we've been seeing, defund the police, whether it be, you've been seeing calls for it for like the Paul Loyola.
I saw
police. Yeah.
Kaepernick put out something that said abolish the police.
Yeah, that's...
I agree with defund. I feel like you still need to have some kind of police. I guess it
Okay,
has to be
but
run a certain
Yeah.
way,
when
right?
people are saying abolish,
I feel like that's like a
they
little-
no, they mean like because you can't fix a system that's working the way it was designed to work.
So you gotta
And
remake
so,
the system.
so when we say abolish, we don't mean get rid of it and have absolutely nothing in its place. We mean rebuild it from the ground up, starting with, starting from level
like-
0.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like people gotta say
And
that.
so-
though.
Yeah.
and no, and that's
Defund,
the
I guess
thing.
that's why defund.
Like
Yeah.
defund and abolish, they mean the same thing, you
Yeah,
know.
so you can't say
So
abolish.
I'm gonna Google something for y'all because I saw a story, and the problem is I want to word this properly, but it's out of Denver. I'm gonna let y'all talk while I Google this so I can get the facts straight for y'all. But it's an interesting case on the idea of defund the police. I don't think you can defund the police. I think we have seen like the actions and the consequences from it. But you always need some kind of justice system. But this, what I'm gonna Google, does give an interesting side story to it. So y'all keep going. But
All
hey,
right.
real talk. What did you guys think of the bubble in Milwaukee protesting? Because we never got a chance to touch on it, right?
No.
Did you guys think it was even effective? Obviously, seeing the end result, like hindsight 2020, but what was your take on it?
Like I think it was one day where they all didn't play, or was it multiple?
I was definitely shocked.
It was,
Yeah.
it was
I
okay.
didn't think that they would actually do that.
Straight
and
up.
they did it. That's what and like that same night there was like rumors going around of like them actually like the Clippers and Lakers just not playing at all, and like the NBA would end right then and there. You know what I mean?
I felt it just went like it went for nothing though. Like it.
I mean, they
nothing
realized that
happened.
they have more of a voice playing than
Playing,
they do
yeah.
not. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
true.
look at Kyrie. What kind of voice does he have now? Because then he like decided not to play.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he decided not to play because of what's happening, which props to him. But I feel like he'd have more of a voice if he was on the court and if he was doing the post game interviews and if he was, you know what I'm saying?
If it was just him, but I feel like
Yeah.
if more people did that though, it might have been different.
Maybe.
It's like give or take.
Yeah, dude. It's just I just don't know what more it could possibly take in terms of media and sports. I feel like if we were gonna get it, like this was it. Like
Straight up.
on the back of the jerseys, on the court, black people speaking, like press game or post game conferences.
LeBron
like,
every time
LeBron
they
every
win
single
again, every time they interview, he
Donovan
brings it
Mitchell,
up.
Jamal Murray,
All of them.
like even the white people were talking about
Yeah.
it. Like, bro, like what more does it take? And people like are fans of these people, and like I'm lost for
People
words.
have to care.
So I'm gonna
And
offer.
if they don't care, then it's not gonna. Nothing's
Yeah.
gonna matter.
So I'm gonna offer this. So I read this earlier. I couldn't remember it. I had half of it down. Denver launched a new system. So when you call 911, if the emergency isn't super pressing, if it's, you know, whatever it may be, as long as it's not like crazy, like where you need police, you need armed police, Denver will instead send a paramedic and mental health professionals. And they've responded to over 350 calls. They haven't had to call police yet. They're not armed. Do you guys feel that's a solution that could work in other areas? Obviously, for situations where it's like, you know, you need police, like, you know, if there's gunfire, stuff like that, where it's more serious crimes, yeah, I think you need police. But for something where it's solvable, obviously, I don't know if it would apply in the Breonna Taylor case, considering like even the warrant was granted under perjury. Like, there's a lot going on with that case. But in other situations, do you guys feel like sending a mental health counselor and a paramedic would be more useful than calling 911, having a cop?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it could help, or like some version of that program could be effective, because like I'm a sexual assault counselor, and so like sometimes I'll get on the phone with somebody who had literally just been assaulted, and so like they called me before they called the police. And so if you could dial 911 and get a mental health professional and a paramedic, you know, and then that paramedic could escort you to the hospital where you could and then you can have that mental health professional be your advocate. Like, that would be great, because everybody's like, oh, if you abolish the police, who are you going to call when you get raped? And then people are like, they already don't call the police. So, and there's a lot of times where police are not necessary. Like in the case of like my uncle, if somebody, he was having a serious mental health crisis because he was schizophrenic. If it was like a mental health professional, like somebody who knew how to deal with that, rather than just like police who saw an aggressive big black man, then like the outcome could have been different. So yeah, I think that it's something, obviously it needs tweaking to be put out nationwide, but
yeah, I think it's worth exploring. I think it's worth exploring, especially for crimes that are, I mean, not crimes obviously, right? But people call 911 for a
Multiple
variety of
stuff,
situations. You know, so if you can implement that in any situation where it's not severe, threatening, harmful, I think it could pay dividends, man.
I called 911 when I was like 17 and my battery died on my car. I just didn't know who to call. I called 911. I was in the middle of the road.
Oh.
AAA, my guy.
And the cop came and he helped me push my car off to the side. I don't know, but no, in general, I feel like, dude, like 911 and the current police system that we have now is all for physical health, and mental health is something that's becoming less of a taboo now, and it's real, and people take their own lives and take other people's lives because of it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think having a resource within 911 where you can identify what kind of help you need is important. Yeah. And I think especially now, mental health should be an option. It shouldn't be just for physical health.
All right, so we had some small technical difficulties, but we're back. We are back. I want to follow up on your comment real quick right before we went to break.
Commercial break.
Commercial break.
Stay tuned.
You talked about how you feel like especially black women wouldn't want to feel safe.
Yeah, Amina was talking about that.
Yeah, can we get your take on this?
I was just saying that I had to be dead or dying to call the police or ask somebody to call the police, like, or maybe somebody would have to have like a weapon. It would need to be like a really dire situation. Okay. I think the last time I dialed 911 is because my grandmother needed an ambulance, but we ended up just driving her to the hospital ourselves. So it's like, even then we didn't really need the police. That's sad, but it's just like, no, it makes me really nervous. Like, my neighbors are having some sort of like legal issue now, and so the police keep showing up to our building, and it's like, it's scaring the hell out of me, because I'm just like, what are you doing here? What are you here for? And like, is it gonna turn sideways for me very fast? And so like, I have to think about that stuff. And I know a lot of people in my situation are also like stuck doing the same thing. And so it's like, yeah, no, I'm not calling cops for nothing. Not a thing.
You know, that's a sad reality, bro. You know what sucks though?
Tough.
You know what sucks though? The three of us here as three brown men can't relate to that.
Not at all, dude.
Like,
yeah, I don't know if they caught it, but I was talking about the battery in the car and the. Yeah, that's not going through my head that I could potentially die doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just surreal to me.
No, I'd call anybody, because that happened to us once. We got stuck in a hole, and we did not call the police. We called my uncle. And just, no. And we were helped by Good Samaritans. But, like, yeah, no, call the police?
So,
nope, no, sir.
All right, so typically, we've been ending our episodes with, like, a what now, what can we do kind of thing, right? And that's
But that's how the last episode. And this one.
We would like to hear from you.
The last episode ended.
Post on social media? No. Go protest? No. Tell your favorite NBA player to put it on the back of their jersey? No. Like, come on, man.
Call your senators. Your representatives.
Yeah, you know, that last episode we said people bigger than us got to step up. People bigger than us stepped up. We didn't get anything. I think what it comes down to now is the election, to be honest.
And now it makes me think, like, okay, like, will it change even if Biden gets elected? Okay, I'm gonna vote for Biden because I only have one option, right? But like,
Sure.
even when that happens, right? Like, is that gonna change anything?
So,
Sure, it'll change a lot of things, but specifically on racial justice or social justice, will it actually change something,
sure.
or
I
is it
don't-
just politics?
I don't think
You know
he's
what I mean?
gonna be like the next Jesus, but I personally don't think that I can survive another 4 years of Trump. But I think that I can tolerate, or I can make it through 4 years of Biden.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
Sure.
Muslim perspective, yeah.
So,
I
100%.
just like,
so
yeah.
the next topic we got coming on is also gonna be another heavy one, dealing with the Uyghur Muslims. But after that, we're gonna talk about voting in 2020.
We'll
There's
talk
so
about
many.
voting.
Why
There's
you
so many
have
interesting
to?
facts from the 2016 election for for the four of us. that
Make
was,
sure y'all get your mail-in ballot and register
Vote.
and do all that stuff,
listen to
please.
Jamal, listen to me.
Because if y'all forget and wait till it's too late, then
Yeah,
your
yo,
vote
if,
won't
if
count.
the
I'm gonna
most
find you and
important
hurt you.
election was 2016, this is the second most important election we've had. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna bring a lot of facts. We're gonna bring a lot of interesting things that you may or may not have heard about. But until then, hopefully things get better moving forward. We're out of solutions, but if you guys have any, drop them in the comments. Let us know what you'd like to see. This isn't a solution. This isn't a situation that we're gonna figure out. The four of us plus some NBA players. This is a collective effort. So we want to hear from you
The
guys.
fourth an NBA player.
4 of us plus some NBA players,
NBA
plus
guys.
some
Plus
plus
some
That's what it is. That's
Plus
what
some-
it
plus
is
some
right
baseball
now. So
players,
it's like,
So shout out to
Yeah.
everyone doing their thing, but
Yeah, all right.
clearly we need more.
Yeah.
How many more? All right.
How many
So-
more?
See you guys next time.
Salams.
Peace.